Listening to Ke Huy Quan at the Golden Globes, I couldn't help but be emotional. Emotional.
I was raised to never forget where I came from and to always remember who gave me my first opportunity.
Now, if you're wondering who this guy is, let me remind you.
Wow, holy smoke! Crash landing!
Short round. Step on it.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes!
Crying out loud, there's a kid driving the car!
I am so happy to see Steven Spielberg here tonight. Steven, thank you!
But here's how it all started.
Hey, you cheat, Dr. Jones, you cheat! Beautiful car!
Mistake.
I'm very little, you cheat very big! Dr. Jones, you cheat! You pay money, you owe me 10 cents!
He had no plans of becoming a star. He only came along with his brother to an audition looking for an Asian kid, and the rest was history. He was so good in Indiana Jones that a year later, he was casted in the blockbuster hit The Goonies.
I'm setting booby traps! Booby traps! That's what I said! I'm setting booby traps in case of anybody's following us, like if we're toddlers, so we can hear them coming.
At 12 years old, Ke Huy Quan became one of the most famous child actors in the 80s and toured the world meeting his fans.
Did you see the movie Goonies?
Yeah!
But in the 90s, he didn't get any more roles for some reason. He was at the peak of his career, and literally, because even after 2 blockbuster hits, Ke Huy Quan, one of the most famous child actors in the 80s, disappeared.
When I started my career as a child actor in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I felt so very lucky to have been chosen. As I grew older, I started to wonder if that was it, if that was just luck.
But then I found this interview of him 24 years later after he disappeared.
Actually, like when I decided to go to film school, I thought, I'm going to stop acting and just go strictly behind the camera. I actually did a movie in 2001 called Second Time Around, even though it didn't turn out quite as good as I hoped.
For 37 years, he thought it was just luck. But he loved making movies so much that he wanted to stay close to it. And for 37 years, he stayed behind the camera. He choreographed fight scenes in a handful of Hong Kong action flicks.
Do you plan on returning to acting?
If the right role comes along, yeah, sure, why not? But just currently, I'm not actively pursuing it.
Then, this is when I started getting emotional.
For so many years, I was afraid that I had nothing more to offer. That no matter what I did, I would never surpass what I achieved as a kid.
Sorry. Anyway, there were talks about making Goonies 2, which would be his chance to play Dada again after 24 years. But unfortunately,
I think a few years ago, it was very close to happening. But Warner Brothers didn't want to do it. They didn't want to get behind it because they didn't think it would be profitable. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
Hearing that, I felt like Hollywood robbed us of what he could have done in the 90s and 2000s. Because Ke Huy Quan was forgotten. But in the 2020s, a miracle happened.
Thankfully, more than 30 years later, 2 guys thought of me. They remembered that kid. And they gave me an opportunity to try again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, this is was incredible. I've seen the show for so many years.
We've seen you for so many years since you were a boy, and I know that sounds creepy. We were watching you.
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas was looking for an Asian kid to co-star with Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
And you were Asian at that time.
Yeah. And 3 weeks later, I was on a flight to Sri Lanka, and it was the best adventures of my life.
I bet. Well, that's crazy. Great. Welcome back to show business. Ke Huy Quan, everybody. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
The reason we love Ke Huy Quan is because that was the best thank you speech I've ever heard. Thanks for watching.